Last night, I went and saw Thor: Love and Thunder. And I am here to give you some of my non-spoiler thoughts and spoiler thoughts. And there will be a clear distinction of when that spoiler talk will happen. So you know when to stop watching if you haven't seen it. But honestly, if you haven't seen it, just go see it and then come back and we'll talk about it. The biggest thing about this film was that it really surprised me, but not in the typical Marvel way. And by that I mean like, oh, do you believe this person showed up? I can't believe it. Oh, and it ties into this and that and all. No, it wasn't like that. It surprised me by being so cute and so sweet and so emotional. Because I was definitely expecting Ragnarok 2.0. I was expecting that quirkiness and goofiness and brightly colored world of Thor Ragnarok that Taika Waititi brought us, and expecting that to come back here. And it does. But it adds that flavor of emotionality, which is just, it was such a wonderful surprise. And I think it really hits extremely well. As mentioned, the goofiness is definitely still here. The film is as if they asked a whole bunch of children what they would want to see in a Thor 4, and they said yes to all of it. The direction and writing from Taika Waititi is bold as ever, but also a little more mature to the likes you may see in like a Jojo Rabbit. There's a little more seriousness to this one at times, as opposed to like Thor Ragnarok. However, I do think that Thor Ragnarok balanced those goofy and serious moments, the few serious moments that had in that film, better than what Thor: Love and Thunder did. There is a little bit of a tone discrepancy throughout, especially in the second act. The second act does fly by so quick. I felt we could have spent 30 more minutes on that second act, and that would have bolstered everything out into a new level of greatness. However, certain story beats feel very rushed. Even in the first act, certain story beats are rushed just to get into it. It almost feels as if this was like a 3-hour movie cut down into 1 hour and 59 minutes. Though, I don't think any amount of the hour and 59 minutes was wasted. I just felt there could have been a lot more to flesh out certain aspects. All of our returning cast is wonderful. It is super great to see the Guardians of the Galaxy for a little bit at the beginning of the movie, and it is great to see Natalie Portman back. And I thought Natalie Portman was utilized very well. It wasn't just it's a Marvel movie, we're bringing everybody back. You know, they brought her back for a reason, and she is really well utilized in this film. Christian Bale as Gore the God Butcher is a creepy and really well done villain. We don't get nearly enough of him in the film. I feel like we kept cutting away from him, and I wanted to see more because of the few times that we see Christian Bale. He eats up the scenery and does some really creepy stuff, and you can tell he's just having fun with it. And I was just really sad that a lot of those really perilous and thrilling moments were kind of thrown away or set aside in favor of a little gag or a joke. Granted, those little gags and jokes were really funny, but I wanted to see more of that serious tone. Again, another Taika Waititi film that does this so well is Jojo Rabbit. It knows exactly when to cut back and forth between the serious and the comedic. Now, to conclude my thoughts of my non-spoiler section, if you liked Thor Ragnarok, you will like this and be surprised a little extra with the emotionality of it. I wish it was a little longer and a little more fleshed out. It was a great concept. And finally, the title, Thor: Love and Thunder, is the most apt title this film could have. And you don't really realize it until the final moments of the movie, and it's just brilliantly done. So, that is the end of the non-spoiler talk. We are moving on to big spoiler territory here. So if you haven't seen the movie, stop watching. Watch it, come back, and we'll talk about it here. Okay, Spoilers. I absolutely adored the fact that this film was a Thor learning to be a dad movie. I did not expect it to be this, but it really shapes up to be that way. Obviously, the main premise of the movie is Thor trying to find himself and figuring out who he is in the vast cosmos. And through that journey, he reconnects with his old flame, Jane Foster. And you think for a little bit that, oh, they're going to get back together, and what was missing from Thor's life was Jane the whole time. But in reality, he ends up having closure with Jane as she passes on to Valhalla, and it opens up the opportunity for him to raise Gore the God Butcher's recently resurrected daughter as his own, who, if you didn't know, is actually played by Chris Hemsworth's actual daughter, which just adds a whole nother level of sweetness and amazingness to the film. And, of course, the final moments we get Korg narrating Love and Thunder, and it all makes sense. It's just so beautiful, and it really touched my heart in such a sweet and surprising way. This film is just so full of love, and I love that love is in so many unique ways. Not only the very obvious Jane and Thor love, we got the daughter and father love with Thor and Love, and we get a love affair triangle thing with Stormbreaker, with Mjolnir coming back. Thor goes through this crisis of missing Mjolnir, but kind of neglecting Stormbreaker, who becomes really moody and jealous. And it's beautiful. And they kind of work through things themselves. And if you see at the end of the film, he ends up giving Stormbreaker to his recently adopted daughter, and he takes over Mjolnir. And so it's just like everything's not meant to be, I guess. The love that we end up getting comes from places that we may not be expecting. And that's what this whole movie is about. And I love it. I really wish that we could have seen so much more Gore. We really only got a couple of scenes with him. And out of those scenes, most of them were action scenes. I wanted to see like that moment with Gore talking to the kidnapped children in the cage. I thought that was a great moment. And I wanted more of those. By the way, the MacGuffin of the movie that they're going to get is it's the children, and it blends perfectly into the ending of this film. Thor learning how to talk with children, and I think this sets up a really great opportunity to potentially have Thor be a mentor and leader for a Young Avengers team. I think that would be so funny, and just watching him, having that end battle scene of him hyping up the children to go fight Gore and his shadow demon monsters. Imagine that for like a whole movie. I am on board for that. And then again, as for the future of Thor, we get a title at the end that Thor will return. Does that mean Thor Odin's son, Jane Foster? Even though Jane Foster is in Valhalla, we see her greeted by Heimdall at the end. Maybe there's a chance for her to come back in some fashion there, see her adventures in Valhalla, coming back as a spirit or whatever it is. But big tease, probably the biggest tease for the future of the Thor franchise and the Marvel Cinematic Universe is finding out that Zeus is actually not dead. Played by Russell Crowe, who is amazing, by the way. Ridiculous Greek accent, and he leans straight into it, and it's so awesome and so goofy. He is not dead, and he is going to be sending Hercules after Thor. Hercules, a very popular character in the comics and amongst fans, and people have been clamoring to see Hercules in the MCU, and you finally get him, played by Brett Goldstein, who most of you will know as Roy Kent from Ted Lasso. That is perfect casting because Roy Kent, as that character, just says everything he wants to and wears his heart on his sleeve, and it's kind of an amazing foil for Thor, because Thor has finally figured out who he is, and Hercules is kind of where Thor was at in Thor 1 in 2011. it's a really great contrast and foil, and that would be really great to see them interact. Hopefully in the future, who knows how much longer it will be till we see like maybe a Thor 5 or some other iteration of Thor meeting with Hercules. Perhaps the Young Avengers as well. I also, quick note, I just love the inclusion of Korg and Valkyrie have their little mini arcs through this film. Valkyrie kind of talks through some past trauma with her love being gone, and Korg kind of goes through his journey of being broken down literally and figuratively, and finding his own love at the end, which is so funny. You know, ends up marrying Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, but it's just a rock man named Dwayne. So funny. Such a good gag. And yeah, I just thought it was just a brightly colored, fun time. I kind of wish that we saw more because it felt very short. I felt the runtime being really short, and certain aspects of the film felt a little hollow. Like I said, that second act, I thought there was some stuff missing in that the God Pantheon meeting stuff. I thought we could have seen more. I really wanted to see Jane's power up, like see her actually become the Mighty Thor, and I'm pretty sure it was filmed because there were some leaked set videos way back when of her like transforming, and we didn't see it. It was initially, I guess, eventually cut. So that's kind of sad. I wanted to see that. And of course, I just wanted more screaming goats. We didn't get enough. That gag was so funny. But anyways, those are all my thoughts on Thor: Love and Thunder. I'm not going to give it a rating right now. I only saw it 24 hours ago, so I don't feel like I am fully ready to give my full ranking or rating on this film. It is just a fun time. Again, if you liked Thor Ragnarok, go see this, go give it a chance, and go see it with someone you love. Go see this with parents or guardians. Go see it with a partner. Go see it with a loved one. Go see it with a friend. Go see it with a child. This is a family movie. Minus like a couple of butts and sex jokes. But it is really like a family-centric movie, which was awesome. If you're not aware, I'm currently doing a Marvel marathon where I'm taking 17 days to watch the entire MCU. I do it every summer. This is the 4th year I've done it, and we are almost done with it. So look at all the old videos detailing my adventures so far, and look forward to the last few videos chronicling the last few days of my marathon as we close this out. And yeah, thanks for watching. Go see Thor: Love and Thunder. Huzzah. Bye.